Stress is a subject I like discussing, and the reason is because it is linked to a lot of lifestyle-related diseases. I'm a lifestyle medicine physician by the grace of God, and one of the things I love to do is to teach people how to overcome stress so that they can prevent some of these diseases. So, but let's first of all look at what stress is. Stress is a feeling of either physical or emotional tension. And I'm sure that most of us can relate with that. Stress can come from practically every phase of our lives. It can come from family life. It can come from our businesses. It can come from career, work. It can come from our studies. There are so many things that can put pressure on us. And in other words, we can also say that stress occurs when whatever we are facing, whatever situation we are facing, exceeds our perceived ability to cope. So at some point, you might just say, I can't handle this anymore. I can't take this anymore. This has gone too far. Maybe someone has offended you. I can't take this anymore. And you want to react. In the same way, when we face stressful situations, which are caused by the economical situation in the country, the pandemic situation in the country and all over the world, all those things can make us to want to respond in a certain way. But the important thing is to learn how to control our response, because whenever we respond, then we are sending signals to our brain and in turn relaying messages to our body, and that can cause a level of damage. So we know that we are all facing some form of stress, especially because of the situation at hand. We have different types of stressors. We have what we call the positive stressors and the negative stressors. The positive stressors are good in that they give you short bursts of energy to be able to handle deadlines, handle exams, handle our goals so that we don't miss out on those things. But it becomes negative when it is prolonged, when it is uncontrolled, and when it is chronic. So it is these negative stressors that we need to learn how to handle. It's very easy for us to, get motivated by the fact, oh, I'm going to work today. I have this assignment. You're even happy doing that. And so that is not stressful. But when you have a situation in which this is unexpected, like what happened this year, nobody expected that this year would go like this. We're almost at the end of the year, and a lot of people are asking, what have I achieved since the beginning of the year? Now, what has this COVID-19 caused? This COVID-19 season, it caused stress due to life events. Life events are unexpected happenings that change our lives suddenly. And one of the things that this COVID-19 did was to cause loss in the lives of a lot of people. People lost their loved ones. People lost their jobs. People lost their businesses. People lost business connections, even social connections because of the social distancing. So that really caused a lot of tension, amongst a lot of people. There was a video I watched online in which some people came up with a device, like a plastic device, with which they wear that device. It's like a nylon, and they now try to hug their loved ones without their bodies touching, just for them to feel this person. So that was because of the stress that they were going through. They couldn't cope anymore, and they were looking for a way to overcome it. So, and that's what we need to do as well. We need to look for ways of overcoming stressful situations. What I would like to do is to talk about some ways in which we could do this, since we know that our bodies respond in a certain way. And let me explain a bit how our bodies respond. Our bodies respond to stress by eliciting a certain hormone. Now, we have this hormone, we call it the fight or flight hormone. It's like once you come in contact with anything that could be a source of danger, it could be a source of discouragement, it could be a threat, your body wants to react immediately. So your body, through the eyes, sends signals to your brain. And when it sends signals to your brain, there is a release of this hormone, which we call adrenaline. Adrenaline floods your system, and so you are able to fight that situation or flee from the situation. That's why if any one of us sees a lion right now, most likely we're going to run. And if at all you decide to fight that lion, it will be because your brain tells you you can fight this lion. And so your body will provide certain mechanisms. It will flood your body with so much of that hormone that you begin to pursue and you begin to fight with all your might. Even if the lion overcomes you, you just discover that you are able to fight and overcome that lion. So in the same way, we'll have situations that surmount us that seem like lions, but how do we mount up enough energy, enough strength to be able to cope with that situation? So the first thing that we need to be aware of is our own response to stress. That has to do with our perception. How do we respond to stress on a normal day? Usually, people will be able to tell you that when I'm stressed, I have something going on. Either I have a headache, I feel tired, I feel fatigued, I can't remember things very well. Some people will complain that they lose appetite. Once a stressful situation comes up, they lose appetite, they're not able to eat well. Some people can't sleep. There was someone very close to me recently who had some issues with her job. And she was awaiting something positive on that job interview. But because she wasn't getting the positive vibes that she was hoping for, she felt discouraged. She had been so positive, but she felt so discouraged. And she discovered that that night she couldn't sleep. I'm sure a lot of them identify with that. Something happens, something goes wrong, and you just discover that you can't sleep at night. But you're not sleeping at night is also harmful for our bodies, because if that happens for a long time, then there are certain changes that occur. I'll give an example. Our body repairs itself at night when we sleep. So if you go to bed and you can't sleep and you're lying on you're awake, the sleep hormone, which is supposed to ensure that those repairs take place, will not be able to function. In fact, the function of that hormone will drop. And so your body doesn't repair itself. So some of the things that are supposed to be prevented through your sleep, for example, what we call insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to diabetes mellitus, that's type 2 diabetes. So if you lay awake on your bed continuously all night because of a stressful situation, at the end of the day, your risk for developing diabetes increases. And so a lot of people will wonder, where did I get this from? Usually the combination of several factors that will lead to diabetes anyway, but this is one of them. Poor sleep will lead to overweight, it will lead to obesity, and at the end of the day, it can lead to insulin resistance as well as diabetes. So that's one of the outcomes, poor sleep. Stress can lead to poor sleep. Then aside from this, stress can also lead to immunity, a poor immunity. And that's because of the stress hormone. There is a particular hormone that is released into the body when we are stressed. And if that hormone stays in your body for a long time, we call it cortisol, then you can break out. You can have breakouts like acne on the face. One could be predisposed to having a lot of rashes, opportunistic infections like yeast infections, fungal infections. You just discover that one is always feeling unwell. We live in an endemic environment where we have mosquitoes biting us. But I'm sure some of us will notice that when a mosquito bites you, you don't fall ill. That's because of the immunity. Our body has a level of immunity against that plasmodium that is transmitted through the mosquito. But when you are stressed, you are pushed to a certain level, your body all of a sudden doesn't just cope with the level of parasites within your blood, and you can now break down and fall ill. So that's what stress does. It makes people break down. It makes people prone to illnesses which ordinarily their bodies should have been able to contain. It could result in engagement of unhealthy lifestyle. For example, people who are really stressed, they want to find a way of drowning their problems in alcohol, in smoking, and substances. I was listening to a radio program some weeks back, and a lot of people called in to say that they take substances. And the reason why they take those substances is because of the stress. That's the only way they think they can cope. But are there better ways? So that's what we want to talk about tonight. Let's see, are there better ways of coping with this stressful situation so that we don't engage on healthy lifestyles that will further predispose us to diseases like liver disease. Alcohol, we have what we call alcoholic liver disease. Most times, heart disease is linked to stress, even overtime at work. There was a study that was done that showed that people that worked overtime at work consistently or more than 3 to 4 hours, they were predisposed to what we call coronary heart disease, the same as heart attacks. So it's very important that we try and handle stressful situations in a healthy manner. So talking about the mechanisms or the ways in which we can handle it, especially in this stressful season, this season is not going away. It will eventually go away, it will eventually pass, but we've been in it for like 6 months or more, and people have had to re-strategize and look at, what am I going to do? So some of the feelings that have come from the pandemic, of fear, fear of the unknown, fear of dying, fear of disease, fear of losing loved ones, frustration, panic. All these things are internal sources of stress. So apart from the environmental sources, we have the internal ones, the ones that are generated by our thoughts. When you think about the situation, how am I going to handle this situation? All those things generate stress. So the first thing we need to look at is our perception. How do you perceive the things going on around you? Somebody actually said, and it's actually true, that during this pandemic, some people have made far more money than some people have made, outside of COVID-19. How did that happen? Whereas some people are really suffering as a result of lack, a result of not having food to eat, a result of the poverty situation. So what makes the difference? So one needs to change one's perception to be able to get something going. If you have that drive to say that whatever is happening right now, I'm going to try my best to make the most of it. What are the areas in which I can channel my skills, my talents, my abilities? That will help us than to sit back and, say, let's wait for it to pass. So our perception is very important. There's a saying that how you feel about whatever you are doing during the course of an event is more important than the number of hours that you spend doing that event. So if you are doing something and you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed, you feel angry, you feel frustrated, the feelings that you get from that and its effect on your body is even far more important than the number of hours. You could spend 2 hours doing something and yet you are frustrated, you are overwhelmed. So, but if you change your perception about what you are doing, what I'm doing is so important, like hand washing. Our hygiene has had to, improve over these last few months. But some people actually found it a big bother to wash hands. But if as you're washing your hands, the WHO advises that you spend about 20 seconds washing your hands. And they try to make it something delightful by telling you when you're washing your hands, sing happy birthday twice to know that, to make sure you have covered the 20 seconds. So if you're washing your hands and you're thinking about the fact, oh, it's important for me to wash my hands so that I don't transfer germs to myself or my family members. I just collected money from this individual. I need to sanitize my hands. And you're doing it happily. You're thinking about the reason. Oh, I'm doing this for a just reason. Then you will not feel stretched. There was a time when I had to be shuttling between two states when I was doing my postgraduate program. And one of the things I had to encounter, which many of us do encounter anyway, is traffic. So in order to cope with the stress of being in traffic for about 3 hours, I would take my mind off the fact that I have to be in traffic for 3 hours. So I would just tell myself, what can you do that is meaningful during this time? So I would put on my radio. I would put on a CD. I would listen to something that I felt was, valuable and which I felt would add value to me at that time. And I would make sure I enjoy it as I'm driving. So I would make sure that I wasn't deterred or bothered by whatever was going on the road. I would just tell myself, see, you're going to get there. Just give yourself enough time, leave home early, and you will get there. So if I was angry and frustrated on my drive, I could get to work tired. I will be fatigued already, and I'll discover that even having joy in that job would not be as welcome as if I had approached that job with a lot of positivity. So our perception is to change the way we think about that situation. It might not be a very healthy situation, but you can change your perception and say, whatever is happening right now, I can make the most of it. I can do something that would help me and help the people around me. And that's why you can see a lot of people who are COVID-19 heroes, because they try to do something to salvage the situation. They didn't just sit back. The people that try to do something to salvage or change the situation, they will feel happier when they look back. And another thing we need to take note of is our personalities, our temperaments. Our temperament determines how we handle things. There are some of us that are very exuberant. Some of us are reserved. Some of us are a bit rational. We wait to take decisions. So one of the things that could happen when we are stressed is for us to take decisions which would impact on us or on other people negatively. And that happened during this COVID-19 period. I watched a video in which a woman was telling her son to drink very hot water, scalding hot water, when he came back from the US. And she was telling him, don't come near me. Make sure you drink this hot water right now. I can't remember if there was salt inside, but she wanted him to drink scalding hot water. And he was trying to say, Mommy, please now, but she was so adamant, drink that hot water. But what could have happened if he drank that hot water? He could have scalded his food passage, what we call the esophagus, and cause a narrowing of the esophagus. And that would result in something even more deadly, something that could even kill faster than the COVID-19 virus, so to speak. So our decision making can be affected at the family level, at business level, at work. So we shouldn't be in a haste. We must think rationally through whatever situation it is, recognizing that our temperament might make us to want to burst out, to do something more than we would do ordinarily. So that's one way we need to change our perception. John Maxwell says something. He says, if you're able to change your thinking, then you can change your life. Being optimistic about life, having a great mindset, knowing that if you give yourself positive self-statements, then you'll be able to overcome that situation eventually. That would help.